Hey, how are you feeling today?
Okay, I guess. I was doing better than last week, and I've been using that negative thought journal, and that's been really helpful. But I've had a really rough couple of days.
So what's been going on the last couple of days?
Well, I applied for a job, and I got an interview earlier in the week, and I thought the interview went really well. And I was feeling really excited and feeling a lot better than I have been. But then I found out a couple of days ago that I didn't get the job. I was so upset. I really thought I was going to get it. Instead of getting up for the next morning and looking for jobs, I went to sleep and I slept for 14 hours.
Wow. Sounds like you've had a couple really bad days in a row, and we'll try to work on turning that around a little today. I'm sure it was a real letdown to find out you didn't get the job after having such a good interview and being so excited about it. In our last session, we talked about your feelings of helplessness and hopelessness and your anxiety about finding a job, and it sounds like you're continuing to have those feelings.
Yeah, I was already worried because I feel like since I lost my job during my cancer treatment, I'm never going to be able to find another one. And then going to an interview and thinking I was going to get the job and then not getting it was awful. I'm just feeling stuck and not happy the last couple of days. And he hasn't said anything. He's been great. But I'm afraid my boyfriend is going to be mad at me for being so depressed and unmotivated.
Well, I'm glad you're seeking counseling today, and I understand your feelings. It has to be really frustrating to have been feeling so good about the job and then finding out you didn't get it. But do you have any ideas about where the thought that you'll never be able to find another job is coming from?
Well, finding out I had cancer was bad enough. I was totally depressed. And then losing my job, it was overwhelming. It was all too much. I hadn't been unemployed since I got out of culinary school. Having cancer and losing my job it was just too much.
Well, what about your feelings that your boyfriend is going to get mad at you?
I don't know. Before my cancer diagnosis and when I was working, I was just so active, and lately I can't get out of bed some days. I feel like a loser.
Well, you have dealt with a lot of really stressful and scary situations, and we're going to work together on trying to help you. I briefly touched on the cognitive behavioral therapy model in our last session, but just as a reminder, CBT is a form of therapy that focuses on solving current problems and modifying inaccurate and unhelpful thinking and behavior patterns. We'll work together on ways to change your thoughts and beliefs to bring about emotional and behavioral changes. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay, well, you've been talking a lot about your depression and anxiety about finding a job. Is that something you'd like to work on today?
Yeah, I feel like if I could just motivate myself to look for work, I'll find something, and that would make me feel so much better about myself. But it's just so hard.
Well, if it's okay, let's take when you didn't get the job last week and use the cognitive model with that situation. And the situation was that you didn't get the job. What was your first thought when you found out?
That I'll never be able to get another job.
And what kind of emotions did that make you feel?
Really sad and nervous.
And what was your behavioral response to it?
Well, I got in bed and then I slept for 14 hours.
Well, feeling sad and anxious certainly seems like the reasonable way to feel, but let's take a minute and look at the thought. Just because you didn't get this particular job, how likely do you think it is that you'll never find another chef job?
I guess probably not very likely. I should eventually be able to find a job.
How long have you actually been looking?
Not very long, really, just a few weeks.
So realistically, do you think your chances of finding a job will increase with the number of jobs that you actually apply for and interview for?
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Okay, good. Well, let me ask you, what does a typical day look like for you?
Well, I have a hard time getting up. Some days it just seems pointless. I look online for available chef jobs. I was applying for most of them, but after being rejected so much, I often just don't apply for them anymore. I'm afraid I'll get rejected again and I will never find another job. Some days I get back in bed, or I just watch TV all day. I used to really like to cook dinner for me and my boyfriend every night when he would come home from work, but I don't feel like doing that anymore most of the time. I also used to do yoga most days, and I'm really into photography too, and I used to like to do that, but I don't really feel like doing anything a lot of the time.
Well, it sounds like it's been really difficult for you, and sometimes you have a hard time even getting out of the bed. But it also sounds like there are some things that you used to really enjoy doing. Can you now describe to me what an ideal day would look like for you?
Well, I would wake up early, and I'd spend a good part of my day looking for a job. I would spend at least a little bit of time doing yoga and listening to music or working on photography, which is my favorite hobby. At least it was. And then cooking a nice dinner for me and my boyfriend.
So it sounds like if you were to get up at a normal hour, work on trying to find a job, and also maybe doing some self-care and working on your photography or other activities you enjoy doing, that you'd feel a little less stressed. Is that right?
Yeah, that feels right.
Well, can you talk a little bit more about, or can you talk a little bit about what is going well in your life right now?
Well, I have a really good relationship with my boyfriend, and he's been really supportive through all of this. He's got a good job, so we're doing okay financially. And I've also continued to do really well with my drug and alcohol recovery. And when I'm motivated to do it, I think I'm a really good chef and a good photographer.
When you come around to thinking about those things that you are good at, how does that make you feel?
I go back and forth. There are times when I think I can't do anything right. I can't get a job. I sit on the couch and I tell myself I'm a bad person. I shouldn't have gotten over my head with substance abuse. On the other hand, when I'm up to it, I can see the positive. I'm doing really well with my recovery, and my relationship with my boyfriend is going pretty good. I can cook, and I can do well with a camera, but when I can't get a job, I get down on myself. Even though in the back of my mind, I know I'm good enough to do it. When I can't convince someone else to give me a job, I take it as my fault, even though I kind of know that it really isn't.
Well, it's great that you're able to recognize that you have a great relationship with your boyfriend and that you are continuing to do well in your recovery. But it's also great that you recognize that you are really good at what you do.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's true.
In our last session, your homework was to keep a negative thought journal for the week, and you identified negative thoughts and their rationality and usefulness. It sounds like that was helpful for you. Is that right?
Yeah, it's been really helpful in showing me that sometimes I'm too hard on myself.
How so?
Well, when the day is going on and I'm getting down on myself for not getting a job, or some small thing has happened with me and my boyfriend, or whatever it is, I was writing it all down. Once the moment had passed and maybe I was in a better mood or just feeling kind of different about it, I'd read the journal and think, well, okay, bad day or just a bad moment, but this isn't the whole picture with me, There was other stuff that happened that day that went okay. I was doing good. Reading the negative and writing told me that it wasn't all that's going on, and there's a positive feeling in my life.
Right. Well, it's really good that there are times when you do feel pretty positive about how things are going in your life. Our time is almost up for today. So for your homework for this week, do you feel like you could try to do one of the things you talked about in your ideal day, like yoga, looking for jobs, working on your photography?
Yeah, I think so. I think the thing that would make me feel best right now would be to look for jobs. So I'll try to do that for my homework this week. And if I get too depressed or overwhelmed, I can try to do one of the other things.
Great. So we've spent this session discussing your anxiety and depression, about finding a job, We've talked about what a typical day looks like for you, as well as what an ideal day would look like for you. And we also discussed the things that were going well in your life and talked about your homework assignment for this week.
So should I stop keeping the negative thought journal, or should I do it as well as my homework for this week?
You can do both or leave the negative thought journal alone for now. This week's is a more positive homework. So if you want to do both, you could contrast them, or again, you can leave the negative journal off this week. But you also talked about being anxious about your boyfriend getting mad at you for not feeling motivated to do the things you've done in the past. So if you'd like, we can work on that next week. Is there anything else I can do for you today?
No, I don't think so. I'm feeling better, and I feel pretty good about being able to do my homework assignment for the week.
Great. I'll look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you.